guys, welcome to the Tree Speaks podcast. I decided to start this because one of my friends, he's like really cool. I'm actually going to put a link into his podcast down in the description. He made one, and it's just really fun. Like, it's relaxing and calm, and I like it, and I like speaking because I'm a narcissist. So, um, I wanted to make one about like just a podcast in general about things that I understand and things that I relate to that I feel like I. How do this is gonna sound weird. Sorry, I'm very rusty at this. I haven't recorded in a while. Um. Oh, also, before I get into like what this podcast is gonna be about, um, for those of you who personally know me, this is gonna be on a different account than my normal account because I just don't like. I'm gonna basically share this on Tumblr. This is gonna sound weird, but that's gonna be my main platform of sharing this. And I just don't really care for people on Tumblr to know who I am. Like, you know what I mean? Um, I like the whole anonymous kind of thing where you're just listening to me spout random advice and it's dumb. But yeah, so this first episode is going to be about germs. Uh, because most of you probably don't know this, but I'm a germaphobe. And I would like to kind of share that experience and share what I've learned from it and how I've dealt with it in the past and just kind of give people a different view of a different, not lifestyle, but of a different, I guess, way of living lifestyle. Um, and for people out there who are a germaphobe, hey, you're not alone. Because I remember I haven't met anyone else who's like bad with germs, like seriously bad with germs. There's some people who will be like I was talking to this one girl recently, and I told her I was germaphobe, and she was like, "Oh, I understand. I wash my hands like crazy." And I turned to her and I was like, I can't touch other people's hands. If I do, then I get really freaked out, and then I have to wash my hands, and I have to wash my hands specifically 3 times, and sometimes 9 times, because that's 3 and 3, and it doesn't make sense, and I don't understand why I do it. And she stopped talking. Oh, I probably just sounded crazy. Um, but yeah, germs, some people, it affects people differently. I am not one of, or I don't know. I don't think my case is as severe as it could have been. But yeah, I just want to answer some questions that I've gotten asked before and just give a little bit of insight on something that most people probably don't think about or don't know about. And for those of you out there who do get affected by germs, hey, I'm here too. We're all like in this together. Sorry, I was thinking about being near a lot of people and all the germs that would be. Um, okay, so questions about germs is when one of the first, or sorry, one of the most popular questions I get is when did like you first become a germaphobe? Like when did you realize that germs like affected you? And I actually remember when it started to affect me. I was in second or third grade, um, and I hadn't had a problem since, or not since. I hadn't had a problem before that, but we were living in this house, and my parents had a roommate, and she had a kid, and the kid was about my age. And I remember there was one night where we were all eating spaghetti, and spaghetti is my favorite food, so this is extra traumatizing. But we were eating food, and we went to bed, and mind you, I didn't share a room with this kid. Like, what I'm about to say, like, he deliberately did this, and it kind of messes with me sometimes. Um, but he went into my room that night, he threw up in my hair, and he left. And I woke up that morning, and I felt like my hair felt weird, so I touched it, and I saw it, and I freaked out because it looked like I couldn't tell what it was. It looked like dead worms. I was like, what is this? So I took a shower and I kind of slowly put the pieces together, and I was absolutely disgusted. Like nothing made me feel worse. I really started to freak out, and ever since then I've started to like wash my hands more. And or actually not even just that, there was a long time where I wouldn't hug people, I wouldn't touch people, I wouldn't shake hands, I wouldn't do any of that. um and then I slowly started to get better. I'm not as bad about it, but it wasn't my germs that freaked me out. Like some people say, oh, you're a germaphobe, like, well, germs are all around you, whatever, and that's a point I'm going to get to later. But I didn't get freaked out by my germs. I just got freaked out that there were so many other germs in the world that I had never come into contact with, and they would get me and they would hurt me. Like that's the thought I had about it, and I obsessed over it. So the moment, like, when I thought something was dirty, I had to wash my hands or else I wouldn't stop thinking about it, and I would physically start to feel the gross dirtiness, you know. But yeah, that's when I first realized it. I was actually pretty young too, but I'm happy because I was old enough to have already like played in the mud and done gross stuff, and I had a good immune system. Like my immune system was really strong, but I was also young enough to hold on, sorry, I'm starting like different topics in my head a lot. Um, so I was young enough to where my immune system was there. So now like I'm not like one of those germaphobes who like gets sick and dies. I get sick like once a year, and that's usually when school starts, and I get over it pretty soon. Um, okay, so that's the first question I have. I have four questions here. I might add some more. Or this one's not even a question. This is something I get a lot that people will say to me, especially when I like disclose that I don't want to like touch them because it's a bad day for germs with me. A lot of people will say, but I'm clean. And that doesn't matter. Like, the thing with germophobia isn't that, at least for me, it's different for everyone, but for me, germophobia, it's not that I'm scared of getting sick, and it's not that your germs gross me. Well, yeah, no, I'm lying. Hold on. I gotta figure out a way to word this so that it makes sense, because it doesn't. That's the biggest problem about trying to explain irrationality with something in your like life is it doesn't make sense. Um in my head, it wasn't that I'd look at you and say, "Oh, they're dirty. I don't want to be around them." It's I would look at someone, and sometimes it would be everyone, sometimes it'd just be select people, and I'm not really sure why. But I would look at someone and think in my head, if you touch them, you're going to be dirty. They're not dirty in of themselves. You're just going to be dirty, and it's going to affect you, and you're going to feel bad, and it's going to feel gross. And it's not so much in my head, germophobia is not so much the fear of germs, it's the obsession of the fact that germs are there. So you get so obsessed that they exist and you don't want them to, and you start to freak out, you start to panic, and it's so if I ever come up to you, or if you ever come up to me and you try to shake my hand or hug me, and I say, "Hey, no," it's not me being like, "No, you're gross." It's me being like, "No, I'm obsessing over germs right now, and I need as little contact as possible, because when I touch you, like if I shake someone's hand or if I hug someone, it'll feel like there's crawly things on my arms and on my body, and it won't go away until I wash my hands. And sometimes it won't go away until I wash my hands specifically 3 times. Or I'll have to do it 9 times, because that's me washing it 3 times. Like I'll do 1, 2, 3, and that's one set. Then I'll do 1, 2, 3, and that's the second set, and I'll do 1, 2, 3, and that's the third set. You know what I mean? That one's a harder one to explain. Like, I don't understand why it's in threes, but that's a thing in my life. So yeah, if you ever meet a germaphobe and they're like, "Hey, don't touch me," you don't need to get offended by that. That's not them saying like, "Oh, dirty, dirty people," because everyone has germs. Like that's just a fact. But for some people, that fact bothers them. Like it's not that you don't wash yourself. It's just that you have germs, and I don't like them. um. Okay. Next question. Sorry if that didn't make sense. I often don't. um, the next question I have is a lot of people tell me this. Like this, I think is one of the most questions I get not asked but kind of told. Um, you know certain germs are good for you, right? Yes, I am aware. I'm actually like one of the things in germophobia that people think everyone is like is you clean a lot. And I don't. I'm actually a pretty like fucking slob. Like I don't clean that much. My room's like constantly dirty. I just cleaned my room the other day and I had 3 trash bags full of trash. That's a depression though. Sorry, that was not a joke I should have made. Um, but I can understand that certain germs are okay for me. I can understand that. That's fine. Um, but it's other people's germs that kind of not scare me but freak me out. Like I'm fine with my own germs. Like I very rarely have I ever like touched my own skin and felt the creepy crawly things on my hands. Most of the time with myself, I'm fine with it. Like, I touch my feet a lot. That sounds weird, and I promise you, it's not gonna be that kind of podcast. But just when I'm sitting, I'll just like touch my toes, um, and I'm not really bothered by it because in my head, these are my germs. These are germs that I got that I can't really get rid of that are just gonna stay with me. And my feet are pretty clean. Sorry. um, so it's not a problem for me, my own germs. It's other people's germs. It's I know certain germs can be okay for me. I know certain germs like you have to have, like we're all full of germs. It's just my germs I'm familiar with. Especially like when people say like you can't be a germaphobe, your room's a mess. I This is going to sound stupid and weird, but it makes sense in my head. I know where those germs have been. I have seen them in my room. I've seen how it interacts, and sometimes I get a little messed up because like when I'm not here, I'll be like, well, what if there was mice or bugs or something? But most of the time, if it's a mess that I've caused, I don't get affected by it because I know where those germs have been. I know that I'm the one who created them, and I know that my germs are okay. Um, Sorry, I thought I heard someone knocking on my door. um, but when it comes to other people's germs, I start to freak out. Even if it's the same germs that I have, even if it's the same germs that like keep us alive and keep us clean and all that. Huh, germs keep us clean. I don't know if that's sorry, I'm kind of rambling. Um, it still bothers me because certain germs affect me. Like certain germs just do that, and that's how it is. Like I can't really explain it. It's again, it's hard to explain something in your head that you know is irrational, but it makes sense. Like it's a problem and it affects me and it's not a good thing and it doesn't make sense to a lot of other people, but it's still a problem that affects me and it's still something that in my head, even though it doesn't make sense, it does. It's kind of like with the washing the hands thing, washing it specifically in threes. There's no reason, like, washing my hands 3 times or 9 times doesn't, like, kill the germs more. It doesn't, well, maybe it does because I'm washing my hands all the fucking time. But it doesn't really make sense. Like, it doesn't. No, it doesn't make sense at all. It doesn't make sense for me to wash it specifically 3 times or 9 times because that doesn't do anything. Like that doesn't change how clean my hands are. Once you wash your hands, you wash your hands. You can't really wash germs off that much more. But in my head, it makes sense and it's comforting. I think that comes back to term with the sorry, with the obsession part of germophobia is you get obsessed, so you need to do a certain thing a certain way in order to fix it. Yeah, I hope that made sense because, boy, it didn't. Um, the last question I have written down, I might say some other stuff because I like rambling. The last question I have written down is are there different kinds of germs that affect you? Um, yes. It's different for everyone, obviously. But I, I've gotten a lot better with touching people and with hugging people. I have gotten a lot better with that kind of stuff. But one thing that's really been affecting me as of late is germs in food, especially meats. I am the type of person, and hate me if you want to. It's something that I just obsess about, and if I don't have it this way, then I can't eat it. Um, uh, Certain foods, if like chicken, if it's pink, I start to freak out and I won't eat it, or I'll eat around it and I won't eat the pink part, because in my head, this one makes a little more sense for germophobia. In my head, I think if I eat that, I'm going to die, and that's how that's going to work. There's no other explanation. And I know it's irrational. I know it needs to be a certain degrees, not a certain color for your, or not a certain degree, certain temperature, sorry. It needs to be burst chilly out. Wait, what am I? That was supposed to be a joke and then I failed. I'm sorry you had to go through that. But I know it needs to be a certain temperature, not a color, in order for it to be edible. But my brain associates pink with undercooked. Same with beef. Beef, not as much. Like sometimes if I'm eating a burger and it's like a little pink, I'll be like, okay, I'll eat it anyway. But with steak, I can't, and I know people are gonna hate me for this. I can't eat it when it's red. Like I have to have it. I think it's well done is when it's like all the way cooked through, and I know that dries it out. And I know it makes it so much less enjoyable, but I also won't eat it any other way, and I know that's just a germ standpoint. I know you probably most likely won't get sick over that, but yeah, food really messes with me. Or sometimes if I'm eating something, and I think of like like if I'm eating fruit or vegetables and I think like, oh, bugs eat this too, and this was in the wild, and bugs were probably eating this or crawling on this. They weren't even eating this, they were just putting their nasty feet on it. And I would think about that, and even if it was like a bug that doesn't carry diseases or anything, I'd be like, ah, yes, I'm going to die, and I'll stop eating it. So because of that, food becomes tricky. And I'm actually going to talk about, my next podcast is going to be about eating and problems I've had with eating, because like I've had, or hold on, to be continued. You guys will figure out the end of that sentence on the next podcast. But yeah, with food, if it's undercooked, unless if it's allowed to be raw, I'm fine with it. Oh, and fish. Fish, half the time I can't do it at all, because I don't really know why. Like, fish, first off, is raw a lot of the time. Like, you can eat it raw. But in my head, I'm like, no, 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 grody gross. So I won't, and that's stupid. Because it's fine. Like, it's fine. Fish is fine. But I won't eat it because I'm like, oh, well, this is probably raw, so bye-bye. Like, it's just a dumb thing. But yeah, certain germs do affect me more than others. I've gotten a lot better with shaking hands and touching people and being... Um, another thing that I realized I'm not good at is affection, because from an early age I stopped like interacting with people physically. um, Affection as I've gotten older has been harder to achieve, not only because like I'm just not used to interacting with people physically, but also because germs, mouth germs, oh my god, and other germs. But like I've started to get better at that. I will like hug people. I will give people high fives. I on days where hand germs are bad, because hand germs mess me up too. On days when they're not okay, I'll just give people fist bumps because it's like a buffer. You know what I mean? Or not a buffer. It's just like, okay, you're touching my knuckles. I don't touch my knuckles very often, therefore the germs don't affect me. Like, I know that's not how it works, but in my head that's how it works. So yeah, different germs affect me different ways. And yeah. So, that's all I really have to talk about this. I'm gonna listen through it again and see if this is actually like worth putting online. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Hopefully you guys get something out of it. And if not, sorry. If you went through all this and you didn't get anything about it, I'm sorry for wasting your time. But yeah, this has been fun. It's really cool to talk about things that I have experience with. And if you guys have similar experiences, if you guys have problems with germs or problems with something that you know is irrational, but it's just a problem you have, you're not alone, dude. Like, there's millions of people like this. That's one thing that's also really helped me with germs and stuff. I'm not the only one who's thinking like this. Because when you get into that mindset that, like, oh, I'm the only one, everyone else, like, thinks everyone else is normal and I'm not, you kind of get into a loop. So if you are going through something like this, if you are going through something where you feel like you're alone and you feel like it's not a thing, you're probably not alone. Like, it's fine, and you have like people who can help you. I got a lot of help from my friends. I told them about it, and we set up boundaries, and we set up less and less boundaries, and they helped me. So talk to people about it. Like, don't be afraid to say, "Hey, this freaks me out. Can you help me?" Um, but yeah, so it's been fun talking to you guys. I'll see you guys next time. Deuces.